Justin, buddy. How you doing?
Good, man. I like your intro. That's nice.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I hadn't seen it before till just now.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's
AI
sweet.
and it's all AI in Canva, man. You can do miracles now. So
Yeah, it's pretty
it's awesome.
crazy. You would have paid like
But
$3,000 for something like that a couple years ago.
yeah, absolutely you would have. So for about 10 seconds worth too. So man, dude, how you doing?
I'm good. Life's busy with us moving to Idaho and business and all the other things, but all in a good way. Yeah, but yeah, doing well. Got a good night's sleep last night after driving home from Idaho and going down the rabbit hole. So I drove 7.5 hours about, and then this house I'm thinking about buying, there's just some stuff that's really unclear about what's been permitted that's been constructed on the property. And the county that it's in notoriously doesn't keep good records. So I spent like 2.5 hours searching through records right after I got home just to try to get some clarity on the thing. And I'm still not totally clear, but I'm mostly clear.
Gotcha, man.
Yeah.
Good deal, though. I know you've been looking forward to moving to Idaho for a while, man. So I'm super excited for you. I hope this deal comes through. Well, guys, anyway, my name is Dwayne Charles. This is the Rise and Kill podcast. As you all know, Rise and Kill Outdoors. This is Justin Johnson. I'm going to let him give his spiel here in just a second. But, guys, go to riseandkill.com, pick you up a T-shirt. Nope, these polo shirts aren't there because I don't have a way of getting them on there yet. But one day I hope to make that happen. In the meantime, go pick you up a shirt. Go pick you up a hat. Go pick you up a koozie or not a koozie. What are they called? The metal glasses, whatever they're called. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like a Yeti knockoff, right?
Yeah, Yeti knockoff. So, nevertheless, guys, go check it out. Go support what we're doing here. The goal of this is to build a channel to inform young men, old men, men who have kids and kids who don't have dads, and men without kids, whatever, men, to get out in God's creation. Understand what it's all about. Understand that the greatest gift he ever gave us was nature. Outside of each other, the fellowship we have with our brothers and sisters in Christ. We've lost that, haven't we, Justin? We've lost what nature is.
A lot of people, they think sanctuary in cities. And I think that's backwards.
Yeah,
exactly. They got it wrong.
they got it very wrong. They got it very wrong, man. So, well, right now, so you're currently in Washington State. You're getting ready to move to Idaho.
Yeah.
Tell me, man, what's life like for you out there? What's nature like for Justin Johnson? But before you do that, tell us who you are. Tell us what you do. Give us the information. Tell people how to find you. Let's get the business out of the way so we can get to the fun.
Yeah. So I'm involved in a handful of businesses. Most of my time is spent on Dominion Wealth Strategists and High Calling Fitness. Dominion Wealth Strategists, we help people with their finances. Got created for the church. We help other people, but not very often because they don't care for our messaging. So we're just helping Christians be better stewards, and we offer services directly as well. It's at reformed.money, and then highcallingfitness.com. That's my fitness company where I coach people online, me and a few other coaches that are on the team, mostly try to help Christians be better stewards of their bodies, overcome health issues, just get healthier so that you can, our main thing is we want everybody to be a jacked grandparent. So it's not just about like chasing numbers now when you're young or whatever the thing is. This is like building something that's sustainable for life so you can play with your grandkids, and your grandkids can argue with the other kids about like, my grandpa could beat up your dad. And then I'm also involved in 1689 cigars and Dort. So those are other side ventures as well. But most of my time is spent, helping people with their finances and getting healthier. And as far as Washington goes, I'm out in the far northwestern corner of Washington State, not too far from the ocean, not too far from the Canadian border. I think I'm actually like 5 or 7 miles as the crow flies from the Canadian border at my house right now. And it's beautiful here. I'm up in the mountains. I'm way out of town. I'm up in the foothills of the Cascades on a few acres, and I enjoy it. It's beautiful. I'm up in the hills, and this is what I want. And when we go to Idaho someday, it'll be very similar. We'll be in a similar kind of landscape, just not quite as much water. The woods aren't quite as thick, but that's okay. It has the mountains, and it still has the coniferous trees, which are my favorite.
Gotcha. So what's taking you from Washington State to Idaho?
Man, it's a bunch of things, right? It's not going to be one answer or one factor. I've married, just for some more background, I guess. We're about to hit 16 years, and I've got 4 kids.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and my oldest he's actually about to turn 15 here in just over a week. And so that's part of the factor is the kids. We find ourselves in an environment where it would be hard for them to find a spouse without, venturing out of our local area. And I don't want that. I want them to be able to more readily find spouses that are like-minded, hopefully in their church, but certainly at least in their county. And there just aren't a lot of like-minded families out here as far as Reformed patriarchal Christians, that are led by Reformed patriarchal Christian men. So that's part of the factor there. And then beyond that, I guess Washington's just Washington now. Like when we moved here, so this is my 3rd time living in Washington. Washington has been Democrat controlled since the early 2000s. They've had the trifecta forever. Yes, it's a West Coast state, but they basically did nothing. They were like everyone's favorite kind of Democrats. They were happy with just keeping things going, business as usual. They didn't really have bad laws here until about 3 years ago. And then it's like all hell broke loose, and taxes have increased. We've got some of the craziest, I would say, like LGBTQ type of laws. We've got transing laws in public schools. You have to sex ed is mandatory at kindergarten and public school now, which is and then they teach very explicit stuff. And everywhere from that to actually nicotine pouches. There's 100% tax on nicotine pouches here. That started this year. You 100%. Can't buy 100%. So they're taxed just like cigarettes in the state. So we went from a normal tin, whatever your favorite is, Zin, Dort, Rogue, even, or something like that, Velo. Usually like $5 to now they're 10 to 12. I've even seen Zins now for $14 for a tin. Oh, wow. Yeah. So it's like there's a bunch. You can't have cigar lounges in this state any longer. They're totally outlawed. There are a couple that exist on the reservations and stuff because they can do it, but none for the white people. It's funny because only white people pretty much go to them. I've actually I don't know if I've ever seen like a Native American or Indian or whatever in a cigar lounge when I visited the couple that we have. So
yeah, I think their lounges are usually a little different.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's I don't think it's part of their culture as much, and it's always right by a casino, and it's usually white people and Asians going to casinos. It feels like
that's funny.
Yeah, so just that whole landscape. We've seen the homeless explode. We've seen crime explode. They have a whole soft on crime policy. So crime's gone up big time. Police basically are hamstrung from doing pretty much anything about most crimes, unless it's like, felony assault or battery. But if, even like if someone steals something, they won't do anything about it because there's a state law now that basically says that they can't do anything about misdemeanors, essentially, other than document it. So all of that kind of, and a lot of people say that politics is downstream of culture, and it is, but I think it also goes both ways. And I've seen the culture here shift toward a very hospitable, friendly, welcoming culture from when I lived here in the 90s to now. I think people are stressed out. They're less welcoming. They're less, even the Christians in general have just become less hospitable, and there's just less interest in fellowship and community and those kinds of things, less conviction, I would say, that I've observed. And we want to be in a place where the culture supports all of that. And we found a great church out there that has all the things. They're fiercely patriarchal. They're not down with the direction of the leftward direction of much of the culture, and don't mind saying so from the pulpit. So it's kind of all of that. It's not really cheaper. In fact, one thing that's funny about Washington, we don't have a state income tax, except for now we do on people that earn the millionaire tax. So if you earn over $1 million in a year, get taxed on that. Doesn't apply to me, as you could probably guess. At least not yet. We'll see where Dominion goes. So like that didn't affect me, but at the same, so like, and when I go to Idaho, it's like a 5% income tax. So like cost of living is marginally less there, but once the income tax comes in, actually my cost of living is going to be about the same. So it's not about money really. It's basically a break even.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, so what's the?
And I can. Oh, and one other thing too. I can buy fun guns again. I can't buy semi-autos here or have high. I just say regular capacity magazines.
Yeah. So how tight are the hunting regulations and fishing regulations and things like that in Washington State?
They're actually pretty average, I would say. I hunt here, and I haven't run into actually anything extra compared to what I have in other states. I would actually say Michigan, when I lived in Michigan, it was probably more restrictive as far as hunting regs go.
Okay.
Partly because we had chronic wasting disease so prevalent out there, and their response to it was kind of crazy. And out here, it's kind of just becoming a thing, but there hasn't been much response to it. Or it hasn't changed much of anything so far. So it's actually, hunting regs are not bad. Where I live immediately, there is not a whole lot of game. You pretty much have to go to the east side of the state to get good hunting, which I do usually once a year. I go elk hunting with some other guys on the east side of the state. But
Gotcha.
Yeah, as far as regs go, I actually wouldn't say it's bad. It's actually really cheap for resident licenses. I think it's just something they haven't got around to over-regulating yet.
So CWD, let's touch on that real quick. You mentioned CWD.
Yeah.
Chronic waste disease. The seems to be the United we'll say the states, and when I say the states, the lower 48 seems to be their favorite excuse to make things a pain for hunters. Right now, I could be misspeaking. Excuse me. It's been a while since I've looked at these numbers, but CWD, as far as I can tell, in Texas, if I remember correctly, the average lifespan on a deer is roughly about 7 years because they're going to get hit by a car or predators or whatever else. I'm sure that varies from place to place. You get up to where you're at, there's more public land. There's the highways aren't as bad, things like that in certain areas. CWD doesn't even show, I think, in a deer until 7 years, and there's never been a case of CWD being transferred over to a human being. But yet there's this crazy thing where they're going in and they're killing off herds and herds and herds of deer, trying to eliminate CWD while it continues to spread. And then I hear rumors and different things about other states where they're not really doing anything about it. It's kind of taking care of itself. What have you seen?
I've pretty much seen similar. I've heard of two approaches that seem to work well. One of them can't really work in the United States. I think it was Finland. They eradicated deer in their country in like a year or two. Pretty much every deer except for I think it was one herd that they knew didn't have it. They basically it wasn't tags anymore. You get a license. Everybody killed them. They used their military, I think, I'm pretty sure it was Finland. It was one of the Norwegian countries, and they just killed all the deer. And that's one way to do it. It can work, but the thing is, in the United States, good luck with that. We've got so much wilderness.
No.
I'm my county. I'm in Whatcom County. I think about a third of it is inhabited, and the other 2/3 to the west of me is not just uninhabited. There's no roads to get to. It's in the mountains. It's actual real raw wilderness that you couldn't do and there's so much of that here, and you get the same thing in other states too. It's basically an impossible task. So that's not suitable. And I've heard the same thing, that states that don't really seem to do much about it. It seems to kind of take care of itself. It seems to kill old deer, not young deer. It seems to not be I just don't see it as a real serious problem. I do think I haven't looked at the numbers on this in a while, but when I lived in Michigan, I used to look at the numbers more. It seemed like it was more prevalent in places where there weren't that many predators, and it seems to be an deer overpopulation issue, if anything. And once populations come down to normal levels, then it's not that transmitted. So it almost seems like a natural way of keeping numbers about where they should probably should be. Like where I am right now, almost no predators are hunted. So we actually don't have many deer at all. I rarely see deer where I live, and I'm up in the mountains. Like you'd think I'd see them all the time. I probably see deer like 3 times, 4 times a year. That's about it.
Okay.
Which, yeah, like I said, you'd think you'd see them all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but like there's almost no predator hunting. You can't use hounds, or dogs to hunt predators anymore. So like, I think it's just like, it's probably not, it's on the west side or the east side of the state a little bit, but there are more deer there. Partly because I think in a way, because there are more hunters that are actually like shooting bear and things like that. So I think it's more of an overpopulation compensation that like nature's just sort of like taking care of business. But I think it was when I lived in Michigan, there was another state that was nearby in the Midwest. I forget which one it was. And they just decided we're not going to do anything about it. It didn't really get better and it didn't really get worse. It just was.
Gotcha.
So I think it's a whole lot of expense and hassle about nothing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Down here in Texas, and you're familiar with Texas. You've driven Texas many times. I know.
Yeah, I used to live there.
Texas.
Yeah,
you've lived in Texas, and down here we got to play the high fence game with the big giant ranches.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with our CWD problems and trying to eliminate herds. That's all kind of conspiracy theory. So I won't go too far into my tinfoil hat and get Alex Jones on the case. But you know how that goes, man. So yeah. So tell me something, man. So I know you're a hunter. You're an outdoorsman. We haven't really talked fishing before. Do you fish? Just out of curiosity?
Yeah, I do. I wouldn't say I'm a real great fisherman or hunter. I'm a dabbler. But yeah, I do fish when I can. In fact, in the last 4 or 5 years, I've probably fished more than I've hunted, mostly for salmon during the salmon runs out here for various species. Now, that is one thing I will say. You asked about regulation in Washington. I wasn't thinking about fishing. Fishing
that's
here,
regulated.
Oh my gosh. So in most states, it's like you can get the fishing handbook and you're good for the year. You cannot get away with that here because there are regular changes to catch limits and what days you can and cannot fish. And if it's catch and release or nothing at all, or like daily limits, that changes on a day-to-day basis, sometimes per river out here. Per river. So you have to like check their site, check this website all the time, because you could get in some serious trouble just because like a couple of days ago it was okay and now all of a sudden it's not.
So like when the salmon are running and they're going upstream to spawn, what's making them decide, okay, on this salmon run right now you can hunt this river but you can't hunt that one? Do you know?
They say they're doing it based on how many there are, basically. That's the claim. And
so they're just monitoring the flow.
Yeah, they're monitoring the like where the salmon are going, how many of them there are in a given river, and also the flow of the water, because sometimes how much water there is can predict how many there might make it all the way upstream. And I'll say this: they're not entirely wrong on some counts, but it's because of other regulations. So certain, like there are less salmon now than there were 20, 30 years ago. Like I remember the way the river used to look during salmon runs, and it looked like, I mean, it was just full of, like, literally full of salmon. You could walk up to some places where there was rapids where they had to really try, or a small waterfall they had to like work to get up, and you could pick a fish out of the water. It was just full of fish. Like people would literally like walk up and grab them and throw them in for fun.
Oh wow.
Now you'll walk up to a place like that and maybe you'll see a dozen. Whereas before you might have been able to see 50 or 100 at a time. So there are less. Probably a very significant factor behind that is the Native American population overfishing, because they're allowed to still use gill nets. Then they'll just net stretch net across the whole river and harvest tons and tons. So like they are being overfished, but it's being overfished not by anglers. It's by Native Americans who are just netting the whole river. So it is like a legitimate concern, but it's really because of deregulation of one, human population instead of another.
That's interesting. So yeah, it's I don't know. So at some point, everybody's got to go by the same law. In my opinion, it's kind of weird, but
That's how
it is what
I
it
feel
is.
too. And at least provide an equal opportunity for everyone, because we all share these rivers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So well, so what got you into outdoors, hunting, fishing? Where did that enter your world?
It's sort of always been part of my world, depending on where I lived and everything. I spent several years in Los Angeles, and during that time, I didn't participate very much. But for most of my life, even as a kid, and it's probably mostly because my dad's always been into it. I mean, before I could probably barely walk, really, Dad was taking me fishing when I lived in
Okay.
Arizona. So I probably the first time I held a fishing pole was probably as soon as I was old enough to hold like actually hang on to one. Um, so it's sort of always been there. My dad has always hunted and fished to one degree or another, and he would take me. So really, basically, my whole life, I've been involved to one degree or another, where life allows. So, yeah, early age, I guess.
Gotcha. So what was your first kill?
First kill. Like first big game or just anything whatsoever?
First big game, something you had to tag out.
Yeah, that was Colorado. And that's actually a weird story because
I
it
like
was
weird
kind of,
stories. Let's go.
yeah, so it was kind of indirect. It was my first real hunting trip. My dad took me. We actually had just moved to Texas, but we still had tags for Colorado that we bought earlier in the year. So we drove back up and went hunting for a week. Weather was horrible. It was just unusually cold, but it was like mix of like sleet and rain and windy and nasty. Basically, didn't see anything all week. And when we're driving down the mountain, we're still in huntable land. We see a deer jumping in a really deep ravine just off the road. So we stop, walk off the road a little bit, and I had at the time I'd been using I still have it, a Marlin 357 carbine that's lever action, which is good within around 100
Mm-hmm.
yards. So I shot that deer. I hit it 3 times, and he dropped on the third shot. At least one of them was a lung shot. Dropped, thought we were good. Climbed down the ravine, climbed to the other side, and as I'm walking up on him, it's been several minutes now, so I thought we were good. He stands up, or yeah, it was a he. It was just a spike, and stands up. And I had one shot left in my gun. I was about to take aim. My dad grabbed my gun from me, and he wanted the shot. It was which I think he was just excited. I'm sure that's something he probably he would probably feel bad about now. Um, but he actually, like, as I'm raising the gun, he grabs out of my hands. The deer's probably at like 10 yards max, like it's right there. And my dad missed it by several feet.
Oh no.
Just yeah, just hit a tree, like way. My dad has struggled with buck fever, and I think he was excited and out of breath. And but yeah, anyway, he took that shot that spooked the deer, and we're out of ammo at this point. Deer runs up this. I mean, it was a steep grade. We had to like basically crawl up it. So we're tracking him. I'm following the blood trail as best I can. It's getting dark at this point. I get to the top of the hill where a blood trail led. I think what actually happened was his blood trail and the blood trail of another deer intersected.
Oh
So
wow.
I get to the top of the hill, and I'm following this blood trail, and I come up on this huge buck that's just lying there. I thought he was dead. Like a very large, I think it was like a 4x5, and I think it's dead. So I'm kind of standing there looking at it, and I yell to my dad, who was in the woods a little ways away, hoping that he had a pistol on him or something, because I'm carrying an empty gun at this point. Um, and then when my dad starts coming near, this deer stands up, and this was a gut shot deer that had one of its hips basically blown out. So it's got 3 good legs, and
Mm.
it was in rough shape. So we're kind of standing there like, what do we do? He didn't have a gun on him. I'm out of ammo. So I pull out my knife, like, well, maybe we can rush him and like cut his throat. And deer decided it had enough. He starts running. So we chase him through the woods. And he can still run faster than we can. Even, deer, even a deer that's got holes in it is faster than a person. So we're trying to keep up, and we're kind of yelling because there's another guy at the bottom of the hill that was waiting for us in case we went, because we had a hard time finding anything. We knew he had a pistol on him. So we're like yelling, like, there's a deer coming, shoot it. And the deer gets to the bottom of the hill and he shoots it. By law there, it was considered a mercy kill because this deer was long gone.
Yeah.
Then the meat was no good. You could smell him. He had been gut shot probably weeks before. Yeah, like maybe during archery season or something, or muzzle loader, not sure. Yeah. So he was nothing. You could smell the rot on him. It was bad. Yeah. So he finished him. I got to keep the rack. And that was about it. So maybe, I don't know if you count that as a kill.
Did you wait, what about the other deer though?
We looked, the trail dried up. I'm guessing he went somewhere and bled out. It was a lung shot. My guess is he stopped bleeding externally and just bled internally. And he probably would have died. I don't know how you can survive a lung shot, but we looked for hours. No. It was dark. We just couldn't find him. Yeah. So that's, that was my first real deer hunting experience, basically that I can recall. It was, I guess, a mixed bag, basically.
So what all states have you hunted in then?
I have hunted, let me think, Colorado, Texas, Michigan, and Washington. I think that's it. Yeah, just those states. I never hunted when I was in California. When I was in California, I'd hunt in Michigan because I would go see my family. So I never actually hunted in California when I lived in California.
Gotcha. So I'm going to go ahead and guess. I think I know the answer to this. Everybody else totally does. But what was your favorite state to hunt in so far?
Oh, that's a good question. I
really thought you were just going to spit out Michigan.
I mean, I've killed the most deer in Michigan. I'll say that. But as far as the experience of hunting, it's just every state to me is so different. It's not something I've ever thought about. And I'm finding that very hard to answer.
Okay.
Each state has different. So like Michigan is the easiest because you just sit in a deer stand and you wait. But it's also like really stinking cold and you're not moving. And so you got to like way overdress. And in fact, half the deer I killed, I was like probably listening to a podcast or music on a stand, just waiting there. And I've killed a couple deer while I was smoking a cigar. Deer came out, and I
have to.
Yeah,
I have to.
I think that they get curious about the smell. I've talked to a lot of guys that have had the same thing, or even that smoke cigarettes only during hunting season when they're out, because they have I've had guys tell me they'll be like high and dry for a few days in, and they'll just be like, I'm going to light a cigarette here in this clearing. They light a cigarette, and the deer start coming in downwind, sniffing the air. Like it seems to make them curious.
Yeah, me and Greg Moore had this exact conversation when he was on, and I've killed 2 deer with a cigar in my mouth. And my dad wasn't a cigar smoker, but he was a Marlboro Red guy, and and I guarantee you, even though I didn't get to hunt with my dad, unfortunately, he did nothing without a Marlboro Red in his mouth. So I know every deer he shot.
Every deer was, you just know by default. That's how it was.
It was by default. It is what it is. So
yeah, one time I actually shot a deer in Michigan. It was our last evening that we were there, and I had just kind of checked out at that point. I'm kicked. I got my feet up, my gun's in the corner of the blind, and it's probably like 15 minutes until shooting's over. And it's starting to get a little bit dark because it was overcast. And I'm just sitting back smoking my cigar, and two deer come out. Had to wait for them to stop moving. I'd set my cigar down like a little shelf that was by the window, and shot it, and then waited, just sat back for a little bit to let it die. and it was dark. I grabbed the cigar and forgot which end was which, and I stuck the ash end in my mouth. It wasn't lit anymore. It was like I burned myself, but that did not taste good.
It's all right, man. That would have just been injury to insult. So if it was lit, so at least it was.
Yeah,
just
but at least
insult.
I got the deer. But yeah, so like, you know, Michigan is nice in a way because you just sit, but it's also can be boring and really, really cold because it can be like 5 degrees and you're just sitting there and your body just does not generate heat when you sit for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas like here in Eastern Washington, when we hunt, when I go out there, you know, elk hunting's tough anyway because you got to move a lot, and elk love the most rugged country you can find, basically, because I think that's probably because they know they're safe. And so that's always really rugged hunting. That's the hardest on my body. And I'm not a little dude, so it takes.
No, you're not.
I'm you know, moving up and down hills is not easy for me. So there's a lot of climbing and stuff like that, but it's also a beautiful country. So you know, it's tough to answer. I guess I would say, thinking about it more and more, I really had a lot of fun the couple times I got to hunt in Colorado. But I really couldn't say. I had fun hog hunting in Texas several years ago. Actually, it's about 10 years ago now. That was also really cool.
Texas, you got to be specific.
Yeah. No, it's a big place. Yeah, so I was probably about an hour south of Austin, somewhere in like hill country, Texas. Yeah, gotcha. on a ranch. Actually, it was during deer season. I decided to not get a tag because non-resident tags were so expensive. And I kid you not, I was about 15, maybe 20 yards from the biggest buck I've ever seen in my life, and just had to sit there and watch him for about 10 whole minutes.
It'd have been worth the tag, huh?
Oh yeah, I would have paid for the tag if I could have. Yeah, but it was just like I just had to sit there and watch him and be like, well, I only have this hog license, and oh well.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
So now you grew up in Texas. What part did you? Or you did some growing up in Texas, right?
A little bit, yeah, just a couple years.
What part?
I was in Brownfield, which is about half an hour, I believe, west of Lubbock.
Okay, gotcha.
So like the ugliest part of Texas.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? There's you got mule deer up there. A
lot of good bird hunting
population.
too.
A lot of good bird hunting. Absolutely. Dove are great up there.
Yeah. All the guys that I knew out there, we mostly did dove hunting, honestly, and some crane too.
Oh, the Sandhill crane, or
Sandhill crane. Yeah, my dad actually blasted just took a wild shot. We were crane hunting one time and hadn't had any luck that day. Some crane were flying pretty high up, and my dad threw a buckshot in his shotgun and just took a shot to see if a BB would connect, and broke one of his wings.
Really?
Yeah, and awesome. I swear it was probably, I mean, that crane was probably 150 feet in the air, a couple hundred feet at least, way further than you'd normally be taking a shot. But yeah, one of them connected, and man, when he hit the ground, you could feel it in your feet because he just you know, oh yeah, it was just the thump was incredible.
That's awesome. I've never gotten to hunt up in that area. Not specifically. Spent a lot of time outdoors, like in Canyon, Texas, south of Amarillo. Lived down there right when I got out of high school. I moved out there, so we were right next to the Paladora Canyon, and of course I've done oil field work in the past, and so I'm familiar with everything. And being out there, you know, in the middle of ranches and seeing the different wildlife and things like out there in different South Texas, and coming across Javelina, Javelina had a mountain lion walk past me one day. I stepped out of my truck. I was at a ranch waiting to be taken to the back of a job site. I had to be guided back there because there was no way of finding this place. Yeah, and they were just getting this pad going, and so I hopped out of my truck to take a leak, and I'm sitting there taking a leak, and I look left, and there goes a mountain lion about 50, probably maybe 50 yards. If I was lucky, I'm going to say more 30 to 40 yards. Yeah. And he just walks right past me and never looks my way one time. And I'm sitting there I'm helpless, man. I'm exposed to the world at the moment, relieving myself. I mean, if this dude wanted me, he had me, no doubt about it. So,
Yeah, he was.
but
That's I've always heard with mountain lions. Basically, like if they're around, they know you're around, and they're just okay with being seen because they know if they're being seen or not.
yeah, exactly. So, but I will tell you this much: you evacuate your urine a lot faster when that happens.
There's a little motivation.
There's a little motivation. The pipes go into hyper gear. So, but
I saw my first mountain lion actually here just a couple of years ago. I've never seen one in the wild up until a couple of years ago. I actually saw one cross the road when we were, I think we were driving to church on a Sunday morning. It was very unusual. They're around. I just usually don't see them. It's beautiful. I think it was a younger one, like year and a half, couple of years old. It's kind of small. But I've had bear in my backyard.
oh,
we
nice.
got a lot of black bear out here.
A lot of black bear. We're starting to get black bear. We're starting to get black bear. They're coming in out of Arkansas, Oklahoma, that corner of the state right there. Moving in. They're starting to be spotted in Tyler. It's the older mature males that are that get beat for territory from the younger males coming up.
Yeah.
So I looked into that to see why we're only seeing one here and there, and I noticed everything that was being reported on game cabs in the area was big males, older males. So I looked it up, and it turns out what happens when these younger males win and take over a territory, the big males, they just live the rest of their life in solitude, and they'll go hundreds of miles out at times. Wow. And that's what I looked up. That's what I researched. That's what I found. So hopefully that's accurate. But I'm no bear expert by any means. But what I do know is the game warden still tells me this paw print that my mother-in-law found on our land in East Texas, that was, let me line up with the camera. Holy, that's hard. That was about that wide. That's about 5 inches wide and about that tall. So it's about 4 inches tall. He keeps telling me that was a really big dog paw print. And I'm like, no, that was not.
Yeah, I doubt it. That's well, you can tell too, because bear paw, like the nails are straight across. It's you know, like no other animal has that straight, flat, nail finger profile.
Yeah. He would not tell me that was a bear. Would not tell me that was a bear. And I know absolutely that could have been nothing else. It was not a cat. It was not a dog. It wasn't no mountain lion. We don't have mountain lion out there and at all. So anyway, but yeah, man, it was it's interesting what you can come across and what's moving in territory and how much things are changing. See, I'm 45, you're a few years younger. How old are you?
I'm 37.
37. And the difference in the population, or the for us, the big change in Texas for me in the 45 years I've been here, the biggest change has been the hogs, of course. You're talking about the salmon run up there and how that's changed over over the past however many years it's been. And it's crazy to see these changes that happens within the different ecosystems we live in and how rapidly it changes through our lifetimes. And we're not the only one to experience this for whatever reason, whether it be a new predator that comes in, or man-made, like when we killed all the buffaloes and stuff, things like that, or bee repellents, and then it's so crazy. Matter of fact, have you seen
hogs were moving into Michigan when I left? There actually are some hogs up in Michigan now.
I think Greg was telling me that. That there's some hogs up in Michigan now.
Yeah, I actually heard them in the woods a couple times. I never saw one, but I could hear them a couple times.
Oh yeah, we'll go in East Texas and we'll hunt them at night and get a group of like 5-6 guys. And when you come up on them in the woods and you hear them start snorting at you and stuff, you're ready to go, brother. I'm telling you right now.
It wakes you up a little bit.
We're off. And we've never had thermals and all that stuff. We just go out there with green and red lights and hope we see them before we piss them off and get too close.
Get some thermals, man. Thermals have come down in price a lot.
The good news is I'm 6'6" and I can reach a taller tree limb than everybody else. So
yeah, right. You'll be the highest up the tree, the fastest.
So,
Yeah, that's
but
the joke, right? Is you don't need to be faster than the hog. You just need to be faster than the slowest guy in your group.
exactly. but but yeah, but it's absolutely crazy. I'll tell you something cool that I saw on a YouTube video a while back, and dude, I can't remember the area, but if you go look on YouTube, look up beavers, like I don't know, put in beavers reclaim desert or something like that, rehabilitate desert. They're going to these barren areas where, whether it be man-made or whatever, from us running rivers and reroutings and stuff, and areas that used to be green and lush and whatnot, and now they're just bone dry due to either severe drought over the years or men running water in different directions or whatever it is. So they're going into these areas and they're introducing beavers back into the area. Well, what are the beavers great at? They're good at preserving water. They build dams.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they're doing. They're preserving water. So they're starting to build these dams, and natural water is starting to come in and build up in these areas. Well, dormant seeds that have been dormant for 40, 50, who knows how many years, are starting to turn green.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden the predators are coming in, and then all of a sudden there's little fish swimming in these little streams that they're building now. And the birds are returning and reptiles are coming back. It's absolutely cool. You should go look this up. It's
I didn't know about that. It's like a beaver can like single-handedly rehab an area.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. They're single-handedly just rehabbing an area that's been damaged for whatever reason. And yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah, go look it up. It's really cool.
Yeah, I had no idea.
They've been yeah, it's pretty neat. Trees are coming up. I mean, it's absolutely awesome. But it's amazing what happens if you just go back to God's design, how it works.
Yeah, isn't that something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're put here to, of course, Adam's first job was to steward the land, to name the animals, to that was his job. That was the only job he was ever detailed of given, was to take care of the garden.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And God gave him a perfectly designed place to do that, which is absolutely awesome. And if you just return to God's design, which, it's amazing how life flourishes in all aspects, by the way, all aspects. We stay with God designs and life flourishes. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So yeah, dude. So tell me something. What is it about nature? Because we talked earlier. What is it about nature that gets you? What does it do for you when you're out there, you're by yourself, and you're in the wilderness and there's no distractions. It's just you and what God created. What does that do for you? And just, I know you're a big fitness guy. You take care of yourself. You're a professional strongman. You've accomplished a lot of things and in your lifetime, physically, business wise, all this stuff. And those are really, really cool things. I'm gonna challenge you, and I could be totally wrong here. But when you go in nature, does anything you've ever done compare?
That's a good question. Well, one, I'll clarify. I'm not a professional strongman. I'm an amateur. But
okay, but
I'm a better power lifter than I am a strongman. I've got state records, but just in case anybody looks it up and is like, "Hey, he's a pro strongman." I'm not. I'm too old probably at this point. But yes, that's a good question. And does it do more for me? So I'll start with what it does for me, and if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of nerd out a little bit on some of what's going on biologically that I'm aware of because of my coaching business and everything. So for me, what I find I'll use this specific example of like when I go elk hunting every year in Eastern Washington. I usually go with a few other guys. We don't hunt together. That's not how you usually do elk hunting. You spread out. But we have good times of fellowship in the evenings, and then kind of roughly coordinate our movements of I'm going to be here, you're going to be there, and move this way. So the fellowship and camaraderie is cool. But when I'm actually out by myself, there's a bunch of stuff it does. I find that there's a lot of clarity about life. when I'm out walking around. You have hours and hours of being in nature. I'm not on the phone. I'm not, I'm not on my computer working or anything like that. And there's a clarity that I get when I step away and step into that environment. And I've actually had times like that where it's actually led to making decisions, like life decisions, about the direction that I want to go for something, because you get that clarity of mind, that peace. And I think that's probably the biggest part of it, is just the ability to disconnect from our normal environment. I end up praying a lot, if I'm sitting on a clearing or something like that. Sometimes praying for game, but just other things too. Um, because I need it. I'm not much of a hunter. I dabble.
Okay.
So I think those are the biggest things. And what I can tell you it's doing biologically is actually a whole lot. There's a lot of study around these things that's been coming out, and being outdoors is crucial for humans. God obviously designed Adam to steward the garden, but God also designed man as a biological creature to spend time outside. We are biologically, to be healthy, required to spend time outdoors. That's not really like you can artificially create certain things you need with certain therapies, but ultimately you're just trying to compensate for just being outside in what's around you. You need the outdoors for a bunch of things. You need the outdoors so that your brain knows when to go to sleep and like to establish your circadian rhythm. You need sunlight for that. You need to be outside when it's warm or cold. You need that to help balance the electrons in your mitochondria, and to help and to help the cells in your body to know when to turn over, even cell turnover when cells get too old. One of the best signals for that is when sunlight strikes your body. And if it's not sunlight, it works equally well when it's cold, and you get cold when you're outside. So winter, summer, doesn't matter. You should be outside. There's also just, if you're indoors a lot like I am, your body becomes imbalanced as it pertains to the electrical charge, because you're around all these electromagnetic fields from electronics and everything like that. There is actually something to the whole touch grass. That's kind of become this sort of like social media saying and things like that, but there's actually something to it. Grounding yourself is actually a real thing. We are created to be grounded to the earth in general, and that allows a restoration of, you can become overcharged with electrons, things like that, and that can create that. That's why sometimes if you find yourself indoors, for a lot of time during the day, and you step outside, and it's just like you just feel like this release a little bit. There's a bunch of stuff going on. So you may be restoring an electron balance, I could say imbalance in your body. You're getting that circadian rhythm signaling so that your brain knows, oh, it's outdoors. Here's another thing too. If there's green, like just your eyes taking in the color green has been demonstrated to reduce pain, or at least reduce the perception of pain. And also, if you're walking, your eyes seeing things go by you, as in like just moving through space, in the outdoors, just that alone has been demonstrated to reduce stress and like reduce cortisol levels, increase dopamine signaling. And this is probably part of why riding a motorcycle can be so enjoyable, because when you're in a car, you're insulated from that. But when you're in a motorcycle, you get that experience of the world going by you. And so it's the same thing. It can have a similar effect of walking out in nature. And you're getting the electron donation from the sun, because of the sun's solar radiation, which is like helpful for all the cells in your body. It makes you more metabolically efficient, helps your brain know when it's daytime and when it's nighttime. You don't get that from LED lights. It's, in fact, we've regressed. When we got rid of incandescent lights, we harmed the human body. The human body wants to have the full light spectrum, and incandescent lights cost us more money to run, yes, but they also gave us some infrared signaling and some full spectrum signaling that now, LEDs are more efficient because they're only giving us what we can see with our eyes, but light is so much more. The light from the sun is a broad spectrum of rays that actually changes dynamically from morning to midday back into the evening again. And the more artificial our lighting becomes, the less biologically the less we can thrive biologically. And so that's why red light therapy, it's not just a fad, it's a real thing. It does work when applied correctly. You need the red and infrared light from the sun or from an artificial source to thrive. And so the outdoors is not just this place to disconnect from the realities of your day-to-day life. It's also this place for you to put your body so that you can thrive on a biological cellular level. So that's what it is to me intellectually, but also like it's a place that's free from a lot of distractions. And so like when I go outside, when I go hunting, something like that, and I live on a property that's very walkable. I usually go on a few walks a day with my wife. And just so that we can step out, disconnect. Walking's good for you anyway. And particularly walking outdoors. So it's kind of like all of these things wrapped up together into one package. And if anyone, and this is a thing that I promote a lot in my coaching business. So if anyone comes away with any like coaching advice from this podcast, it's you should probably, however much you're outside, you should probably be outside more without sunglasses, by the way, because you need to take in that full spectrum as much time without sunglasses or eyeglasses or contacts as you possibly can.
Your podcast, Barbells, Bacon and Bibles. Or did I mix that up? I'm always afraid I mix that up. Did I say it the right
Bacon,
order?
Bibles, and Barbells. Yeah.
I actually just listened to your podcast about a week ago.
Okay.
Where you were talking about sunglasses and everything else. And actually, that was actually about 2 weeks ago you put that out, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's been 2 weeks. Yeah, because we missed last week with my trip.
I haven't worn sunglasses since, just so you know.
Really? Yeah.
Because, well, it's funny because I told my wife, I said, because for years I didn't really wear sunglasses. And I started wearing sunglasses mainly for fishing, and then I just kept wearing them.
Yeah.
And I noticed that the more I went, every time I went outside, my eyes took when I was without them, my eyes just hurt to go outside. They couldn't adjust anymore.
They couldn't do what they needed to do anymore. Yeah.
And then you brought that back up, and in your podcast, you brought that up, and I was like, you know what? I said, I've noticed that my eyes aren't adjusting right. So I just quit wearing my sunglasses. And within 2 weeks, I've already noticed when I walk outside, I adjust instantly, almost instantly. It seems like my eyes don't hurt as bad, unless I walk out into that bright white concrete parking lot somewhere that just blinds you anyway. It's almost like almost like a sheet of snow in a sunny day. And you know what I'm talking about. But
I do. Yeah.
Other than that, that's it. Hang on just a second. I apologize. So, I got 2 alarms going off on 2 phones. Can you hear that?
I hear something. Yeah.
Yeah, let me get rid of that. I had do not disturb on, and I still got all these stupid alarms on. So there's a nice interruption. And now I got to get my camera set back right. But are we there? Shit, no, we're not. Wow. Good thing this is at the end, so everybody's already listened all the way through.
I know, right?
So anyway, man, well, dude, you've been a good friend over the past couple of years. Of course, a distant friend, as we live pretty much almost as across the country as you can. Just
just about.
Get worse.
Yeah.
And you've been a big help to me over the years. We met through Dominion Financial Services. We met the first time face-to-face at Fight Laugh Feast. We ate some great sushi together. We hung out.
That
been a good friend.
Was some of the best sushi I've had in my life.
Phenomenal, man. I've got to go back. I haven't been back, and I need to go back. And through your advice, working with you through High Calling Fitness, through your advice through Dominion, and getting to talk to you today, and discovering more things that we have in common, more things that we love. And as a brother in Christ, man, you've been a great friend. It's been an honor knowing you. I pray it continues for years, man. And I really, really do. You're an inspiration to me and a lot of people out there. You put your body where your mouth is. I'll literally say
I
that.
try.
You work your butt off, man. You do everything you can do to produce results in yourself and other people. And we need more men like you. We need more men like you. You're a few years behind me, so you'll probably get to do this a few years longer than I do. And at this point, you got more years left in you than I got in me, if math adds up right.
Probably.
And easy now, Turbo, easy. Don't need that much confidence. There's some other things I wanted to hit on, but we'll have to catch that on another time on another topic, and that gives us more to talk about later on.
Yeah. Well, thank you, brother. That's very, very humbling and kind of you. I'm very blessed to know you as well.
So, well, do me a favor, man. Send us out with the gospel.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, like you talked about not long ago, God put Adam in the garden to tend it. And he had a bunch of commandments. Or no, there actually wasn't that many commandments, really. It was take care of the earth, to be a good steward, tend the garden, don't touch the tree of life, and don't touch the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And Adam hadn't been there super long when he and Eve, his wife, partook of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And God knew, and because of that, God had to cast Adam and Eve out of the garden, which was God created a perfect world. God created Adam and Eve perfect, flawless, sinless, and the garden was also the same. The earth was without flaw. And when God cast Adam out of the garden, he told him, "Your curse now is that you will toil, and the earth will yield weeds and thorns." And this concept of toil is something that man has fought ever since. And that is doing work that doesn't always yield results. And I know you and I are both very familiar with that, that concept.
Yes,
and after that, man was fallen. Man was no longer perfect. Think of a glass of water. If you have a glass of water and someone puts one drop of pond scum in it, you're not going to drink any of the water.
No.
And that's what happens to our souls. And everybody born after Adam, every man and woman is cursed by sin, and is a sinner before God, and is tainted by sin. We are born with a heart that is turned against God, and sinful. And there's good news. God, after a few thousand years or so, we're not sure exactly, he prophesied, and this is what's cool. He prophesied in the garden as he was kicking them out. He said that he would provide a way out of this curse. And he eventually sent his son. And his son did what he promised in the garden, crushed the head of the serpent that came to tempt Adam and Eve. And God specifically said that the seed of Eve would crush the head of the serpent. And that's what happened. When Jesus came to earth to live as a man, he was fully God, fully man. And he died for our sins. And most importantly, he rose 3 days later. And he was and only a perfect sacrifice can satisfy God. The animal sacrifices of the Old Testament, not sufficient. They're just a picture of what's to come. But when Christ came, he lived a perfect, sinless life as our representative, so that he could die in our place, so that we can enjoy eternal fellowship with God in a rightly restored relationship. And the only thing that we got to do to accept this is to believe that he is who he says he is, and repent of our sins and follow God.
Amen. Well, brother, I appreciate that, and I apologize for the interruptions on the alarms. I just got a new phone, and I'm using my old phone. I decided to keep it for a camera because it makes a really great camera. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I still had those alarms set on that thing, so I apologize. But anyway, so guys, this is Justin Johnson, High Calling Fitness. What's the websites? Real quick, run through them real quick. Just to
highcallingfitness.com for fitness training. We're actually running our Crusader Challenge right now. It's a 90-day challenge. You can sign up and get some good training, and if you don't hit a PR at the end of that, then you get to keep running it back to back for free until you do. Basically.
Okay.
Dominion Wealth Strategist, that's at reformed.money or dominionwealthstrategist.com, but reformed.money is easier. And also, I'm a partner at Dort.store for nicotine pouches, and 1689cigars.com.
Amen. Well, guys, that's it for here. Again, that's riseandkill.com for me, guys. So make sure to go check that out. Help out the channel. Help get things built up here. Please, I appreciate it. And in the meantime, guys, if your heart is full of Christ and your meat and your freezer is full of meat, I am messing that up. And your freezer is full of meat, your home will be full of joy. So, guys, this is Rise and Kill Outdoors. God bless, and we'll see y'all.
Rise and kill outdoors.